I want to so far welcome you to this amazing talk about Chris, and especially talking to Chris about his extraordinary recovery story from his back pain. 32 years. We'll see Chris there. He's sitting there in the middle. He can wave there, good wave. And then welcome Denise. She's monitoring our chats, because at the end we will have a question and answer session. If you've got any questions, or any questions comes up to myself or to Chris, put it in the chat and she will jot that down, and we'll go through the questions at the end. But if there's more time, we'll have more questions as well as all. So first thing I'm going to say, you all know, or most of you know, that by training I'm an osteopath. About a few years ago, I learned about neuroplastic pain treatments, and now I would call myself a neuroplastic pain specialist, or working towards being a specialist, but neuroplastic pain practitioner. And I'll explain a little bit before about what is neuroplastic pain. I always like to say we're looking at physical injuries, and most of the injuries that's a physical injury. It's like a break your arm, or you break your leg, or something like that. You will go to A&E. You don't go to your GP. But most, I don't want to put a number to it, but most conditions that we go to the GP is basically neuroplastic pain, because this pain came on for no reason. You didn't break your leg, and this pain that stay there for ages, and it could be anything from back pain that I like working with, or structural pain, any body movement pain, but it could be anything from irritable bowels. You don't go to A&E if you've got irritable bowels. You go to the doctor, or you go to a nutritionist, and those things. So this is why I was saying that chronic pain is not something that you go to A&E for. You go to your doctor, and this is where the neuroplasticity come in, because we like to say then there must be another reason why people has got this pain. And yeah, because we all know that pain is real, and pain is, back pain, like Chris will explain, is very scary, because you want to know what is wrong and why does it come back and all that. So this is the treatment protocol that I used with Chris. And I'm very excited to share this today with you, and this journey that Chris underwent for his recovery. Now, let me a little bit introduce Chris to you. So, Chris, you saw him there, sitting there, and Chris is a dad. He's got two lovely daughters and a wife, and he's been married for 17 years, 18 years, and Chris has had pain for the last 32 years. I know that we'll go through it, but Chris has tried every treatment in the book, osteo, exercises. Luckily, on the side, he didn't go as far as surgery, but I'm sure it was on the cards somewhere as well. And today, Chris is basically pain-free, and we will laugh about it, about the pain-free stories. But basically, what it is, we need to use pain for the reason it is designed for. And so why recovery is possible, I mean, Chris is a living example. Decades of pain, and it is possible. Chris is living proof of it. So let's welcome Chris, and we'll go from there. So hi, Chris. So if you want to just say something, say hi.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hey, I'm Chris. Live in London, as Cooney said, married, two daughters, and yeah, been on quite an interesting sort of road really for the last 32 years in terms of back pain and how I got introduced to Cooney really. So yeah, be great to tell you more and how things have massively improved, since I've done the program and ongoing as well.
Good. Okay, let's just dive in. So Chris, how did you injure your back the first time, or what was the reasons? What happened?
Yeah, originally I must have been about 17, 18, and I was playing a lot of football, a lot of cricket. And my back first sort of twanged and went playing cricket. And it is a case of, oh, you've grown quickly and, your body's not strong enough and all the rest of it. And I was laid up for a few days and just thought it was normal. Then, yeah, it kept going for, for various different reasons. And over the next few years, it sort of came and went. I'd have periods of no pain and certain things would happen, particularly sport related. I play football or cricket for 3 weeks on end, and I know I'd be laid up for 3 weeks. Something we'd given my back. So this went on for years, really.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so it started off in late teenager.
Late teenage. So those first times it happened, was it during a cricket match or football match or something?
Yeah, it's all yeah tended to be sport related to
Yeah.
begin with, but then it would randomly just happen at various times outside of sport as well.
Okay. And that time, did you go and have a treatment on it when it first happened, or
Yeah, osteopath, chiropractor, physio. I had steroid injections at one point, an epidural, and it was all just the same, really.
so it's
Yeah,
like you said before. So this pain, it would be there for a while. You can't do anything, and then it goes away, and then it goes again. I love that word "go." My back just
yeah,
just gone.
yeah, yeah. And then it started to be that psychological thing for me where I play sport or whatever, and regardless of whether it be sport, I could have played a cricket match on a Saturday or a football match on a Sunday, play fine, and then on a Wednesday or Thursday following week, it would go, and it would be no reason behind it really. It was
Yeah.
almost in my head because I played sport. That's the reason.
And and what did the doctors or the physios and osteos, what did they sort of diagnose with you? It's like you said you had the steroid injections, and what did they say? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, they said like sciatica, all the standard stuff. I think they came out of it. Didn't really know what it was, to be honest. And it just a lot of it was, oh, you're growing pains, you're not stretching properly, and all that sort of stuff. Really, there was never any sort of pinpoint in terms of what it was until 8 years ago, and they said, I had this MRI scan. They said a degenerating disc, bulging disc.
Okay. But I mean, 8 years ago and 30 years ago, it's a big difference between those
Massive.
two.
Yeah, and
So
I just got to that point. I just accepted it what it was. I was known as the bloke with the bad back.
yeah, that was
Um,
that was exactly my next question in a sense. Says how did you in a sense feel about your back? How did you feel about your back?
just always fragile. I was always conscious of it. Going on holiday, I'd be like, oh, if I lift these suitcases off, I'm going to strain my back. Or always just self-conscious about my back. Always like thinking, oh God, if I do this, and my back's going to hurt,
Yeah.
whatever it might be.
Yeah. And there must have been a lot of things that they told you that you shouldn't do.
Yeah, loads. Particularly like a few years ago when I got the MRI scans, like no impact sport, stop running, no sport, don't pick your kids up, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of don't do this, don't do that type scenario. Don't sleep on your front, all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all
Because
don't rather than do.
so let me ask you another question. Because you did say that you've had pain for 30 odd years and you've been married 17 years. So your wife never knew you without pain. Neither does your kids because they're not 30.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
same. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how did they feel about you and the pain? I know you mentioned that Chris with the back pain. How did they feel about your pain
I
or
think they
your
just
back?
I think I just got annoyed with it, to be honest, because it'd always go at particular times when they needed me the most. If it was, I don't know, going on holiday and my back would go, and then my wife's got to carry the suitcases, or I've got to take the kids somewhere, and my back, whatever. Yeah, so I think I just got annoyed with it in the end. They accepted it, and they felt sorry for me, but it's obviously just it would always, certainly in more recent years, it would always go when there was something not major, but something I had to be involved in, and it would hamper whatever I was going to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, so so with having pain for so long, and then let me ask you another question on that. How did you get to me? How did you think that maybe I can get better? Or
Yeah, good question. Well, basically, is a really good friend of mine. He was literally, I think, that close to having back surgery, and he was doing a lot of research, and he found you. And I remember speaking to him, and he was like, "Right, I've had this amazing recovery where I was on a cusp of having a spinal fusion or something horrendous." And he told me about neuroplastic healing with yourself. So he said, "Look, read this book to begin with, a certain book by John Sarno." I read that, and within 4 or 5 pages, it's like, right, that's me. This is completely what's my background, my history. It resonated all the way. So I read it, spoke to my friend, and then got in. And I said, I've just got to speak to this bloke. If if he's done this for you, and I really believe in what this concept is about, then I've got to go for it. So obviously we got introduced, and again, straight away I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I've lived with this pain and irritation for so long. It's like, well, that's why not?
so
You-
so there was a bit of hesitant. And why will it change now? Because I'm sure with all the osteos and the physios and the injections, they all said, no, no, this will make you better. But why would this now
yeah,
work?
yeah. And I had that living proof from a friend. I was like, it's just yeah. Again, but even then, it's like I didn't have any expectations. I thought I'm going to embrace it, follow the program, follow the process, and what's the worst that can happen?
So
I've lived with it for this long, and if it means I can go for a jog around the park again, then why not? Let's give it a go. So,
just give it a go. Yeah. What do you think was the biggest reason for the reduction of your pain?
I think it is a recognition of how the pain had manifested, and when you look back, all the stuff you taught me about, the tracking back in my history, I suppose that's when it started to sort of make a difference, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's that recognition of it's not like broke my leg falling down the stairs. You've broken your leg falling down the stairs. With the back pain, it's almost like I just thought it was a structural type issue. And obviously we found out it's not. And that's when it sort of that light bulb moment, I thought, right, this really is going to work now.
Yes.
Expectation went from down here up. It's like, wow, right, okay.
So I remember when we were working. So after a few weeks, it was quite a few weeks, the back pain was gone. What happened then?
It did come back.
No, no.
Oh,
Before that, where did the pain go from your back?
no, yeah, over into my shoulders.
Why do you think that happened?
um, I think the work I was doing in terms of the breath work and the recognition of what was going on and the expressive writing and stuff, all that, I think it sort of just moved away from it had to go somewhere else almost to annoy me.
Yeah, because like you said before now, you accepted that there was in a sense nothing wrong with your back.
Yeah,
So it's just like that annoyance now. Oh, let's just give him pain in his neck because it's sort of in a sense the when we work on these emotions, then it doesn't mean it's still your emotions go up. So sometimes I say to people as well, exactly for that. It's like exactly you you work with this and it brings up old memories. So it's more stress. So yeah, the pain moves around. And that's the thing where it's even more neuroplastic because an injury jump doesn't jump around from your shoulder to your neck to your back, there must
yeah,
be something else going on there.
yeah. And I
So
read it in that John Sarno book as well. It actually said it in there that that's what can
yes,
happen. I was like, oh my God, I've just read that and it's happening. So again, that's when the expectation starts going up even more. So
Yeah.
it's in a weird way, it's quite nice having that pain in the shoulders because I knew it was yeah, it's going away from the back.
So, so you did mention there a little bit about the expressive writing. So in the first few weeks, what techniques helped you most? What do you think? What helped you most um, in that recovery time?
Definitely, yeah. I think the two main things were like the breath work for sure, because it gives you that awareness about stuff. And I've been slowly getting into more sort of meditation stuff over the last couple of years. So at work, I got into that quite quickly. And the expressive writing, I thought was, again, if you'd have said it a few months ago, I'd have been whatever. But again,
Tell us about that, because that was my next question. Tell us about that. What happened a couple of months ago?
in terms of,
You're back.
yeah, so a couple of months ago, my back went again. And I was like, and again, doing something completely innocuous. I think I was cleaning the fridge or something like that. And it literally just ping. And I was like, this can't be happening because, I've been so strong for quite a few months. Um, but for a week or two leading up to that, I've been out of my routine of, the expressive writing and just my little breath work and well-being sort of routine. So I was almost psychologically, I was building up in the back of my mind for it, and a lot of stressful work as well that particular week. But the great thing, I'm glad it happened in a way because as soon as it happened, I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. And whereas before, I'd have been flat on the floor for the rest of the day, refusing to move, feeling sorry for myself. This time round, I was like, right, I'm moving it. I'm going to keep cleaning the house. It's not going to stop me, although obviously it's pretty uncomfortable. I kept going, moving it, stretching, breath work, bit of writing. Next day, I did a 5K walk. If that had been 6 months before, I wouldn't have done that for about probably 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
took literally a day or two, and the spasm off it went.
yeah. And I think after I spoke to you after those events, it was quite funny when you phoned me and said you want to speak to me. I sort of knew, you know. And then, but what was quite interesting during that conversation as well was your wife noticed it and she blamed your back. Oh, your back is gone, you know. So it's like as if in a funny way, as if she's made a joke about it, you know, and that increase your thing. And then the other thing is, I know about your work stress and what's going on there, but then what you were mentioning now about your routine, your exercises and
Yeah.
those things, and it's not because you didn't do it, but because you felt guilty
Mm.
because you didn't do it, and you felt like, oh, it's just a lesson. See, if you don't do your exercises, then you are going to get pain, you know. But it's like, no, no. If you feel bad about not doing exercises,
Yeah.
increase your stress, and then you get the symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And at one point, actually, when I think one of the kids said, "Oh, your back's gone," I said, "No, my back hasn't gone. My mind has. My mind's not in a bad way. I won't go and, bananas or anything. But it's like literally, it's subconsciously, it's gone. There's nothing, there's nothing wrong with it. And again, I did really sort of say that to myself and say that to the kids. So I felt that was really, really important. And I proved it by next day going out for that walk, whereas normally they'd have been waiting on me for a few days.
So a question that's just popped up now. It's like I know I asked something in this line before, but now how did your pain reduction or your elimination from your pain, and how did that change your relationship with your wife and with your kids?
Oh, massively. Yeah. I mean, I think mainly key thing, it's a bit of a selfish thing, but being able to help coach football with my youngest girl, and I could join in with that. That for me was everything. Whereas before I'd just be like picking stuff up and holding coats and stuff. Now I could actually get involved again.
Yeah,
'Cause again, I'd get involved before, and it'd be always a case of, oh my God, your back's going to go, and don't hurt yourself because all this. But that was probably one of the best things really for me to be able to do the physical stuff again.
Yeah. You can do a 5K run. You can go and run. You can play football. You
Yeah, I went
can.
out, got
Yeah.
up to 5K running within about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I think,
Yeah.
again. Just little things like that, just yeah, it made a huge difference at home.
Yeah. So, so I always say it's like you'll be quite embarrassed going back to your wife now and say, "I'm sorry, I used my back." Like she said at one time that you said, you always use your back as an excuse not to do the things that you want to do, you
Yeah.
know. But now, now we're still going to say, you know what? In the last 32 years, there was nothing wrong with my back.
That's what she says, because there's actually nothing wrong with you after all this time. And I'm like, well, yeah. So
Yeah. So, so that's good. And so, based on your experience, how would you explain to the listeners why all your treatment, your previous treatments and advice didn't relieve you from pain, but this did?
yeah, I think the other ones are just scratching the surface of it. It'd be very superficial, sort of do a bit of this, it might work. But I think with what we did, it really got to the root cause, really got to the bottom of it rather than just looking at looking at it superficially.
So,
So
what was
now,
the root cause, would you say?
well, in terms of, I think, like the stuff we went through in the program about, childhood and, certain repressed emotions and stuff like that, without getting too far
Yeah.
into it. But I think that's ultimately where it was. And do a bit of a journey of self discovery in some ways, which is really interesting. And you sort of, start scratching around and say, oh, yeah, I wish I'd have said something then, or whatever the situation might have been. And I think that's that, again, that recognition and knowing that the pain was a deferred pain from, and being able to rewire the brain again, really. So I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of that, yeah, because like the other treatments, chiropractor, osteopath, steroid injections, you might, particularly with osteopath and stuff, you feel stretched out and nice for a couple of days, then everything kept coming back. So I didn't have any faith in any of that stuff.
Yeah. So it's like
And with
you
this,
got the
I've got the control back. I think
you got control back.
yeah, I can sense it. I know in times of stress what I've got to do to mitigate anything happening
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. You know, this is I want to basically open it up to the listeners as well and to ask questions. Do we say then that pain is just in your brain? You know, it's like you're making it up or something is just there or things like that, and understand why this will work and doesn't matter how long you have had the pain. Like I said, I got Denise at the background there. She's actually sitting there. That's downstairs. And um and she will also, Denise, she, the cat's mother, will also put a link into the chat now. Just if anyone wants to book just a free consultation with me to talk about their symptoms, if they don't want to um, talk about it here.
No, pleasure. I think it's just you've got to want this. I think, and it's you've got to believe in the whole sort of rewiring the brain piece, because that's what it comes down to. Again, if you'd have said to me a few months ago, I'd have been, I would have probably still done it, but it's a case of it makes so much sense. The more you look into like each individual's pain, like, I've got quite obsessed when people met, I've got a bad knee or I've got a bad shoulder. I'm like, right, tell me more. And I think a lot of people look for the easy option out by having some painkillers or just not doing anything about it. I think this is, I don't understand why everybody doesn't give something like this a go to try and relieve whatever symptoms they may have. You're welcome. Thank you.
Good. Any more? Good. No, thank you very much. So yeah, like I said, if there's any more questions, you can um, either go on my website or email me or
My name?
oh, Oh, hello.
Oh, hi. This is Deepak here.
Deepak, hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much just to sort of drop in and hear Chris's uh, story there. Chris, hi. My name is Deepak. I'm a doctor, a consultant in pain medicine. So in the local area in Reading, I missed the first 5 minutes when I logged in, and I was just curious to find out from the time that you first met Connie and started the treatment to the point that you said this has changed. How long was that? How many weeks or months from where you are to when you started appreciating or deciding that the pain wasn't felt or wasn't noticeable on most days?
Yeah, I think definitely within 3 to 4 weeks, I'd say.
Okay, so
Yeah,
in a month's time, so something that you have struggled with for a couple of decades, once you got this understanding and knew what it is, it was in a month's time that you appreciated the change.
absolutely. Yeah, I think within a month, I was running again. I was lifting weights again, kicking a football again. Categorically, yeah. I almost had to sort of hold myself back a little bit. It's almost like I've been, sounds cheesy, but born again. So I can run, I can kick, all this stuff I used to love doing. So I literally had to slow down a little bit. But yeah, it is a good progress pretty quick.
Brilliant. That's really helpful to know because it's one of the things, even in the studies, that how quickly reprocessing can make a difference. So it's really nice to hear that part there. I think a lot of patients often find it difficult to get to that journey beginning because they still feel there's something that hasn't been looked at or missed, and that often becomes the barrier preventing them from sort of engaging with what you said. Why don't we give it a try? I think that change in belief, often when I listen to some of my patients, they feel that something has been missed out or not done, which is
Yeah,
why they hesitate to take that. So it kind of bears up what you say, that once you're ready to make that change, it took that part. Maybe one other thing I missed out there. What made you, before you met Connie, how was that meeting happening? Like, who referred you? What made you think this is something you want to look at? Where were you in your time of your life when you decided, okay, I need to change this up?
yeah. It's basically, long story short. I mean, I was just getting to that point where I was just realised I was missing out, particularly with coaching football with my daughter and stuff, like being able to join in. And I saw a good friend of mine who'd Cooney had helped basically recover. Cooney had recovered him incredibly. So I saw
Right.
him and I was like, wow, how's this happened? And then this mate of mine referred me to a book by John Sarno, read that, and every within 4 or 5 pages, I'm like, wow, this is it. Categoric. Then I went back to my mate, and then obviously got speaking to Cooney pretty quickly after that. I think I read the book in about 2 days. So literally
Right.
just, and then yeah, got
And who
referred then and had the introductory call. And again, it just resonated with everything that I not so much wanted to
wanted to?
hear, but needed to hear. Yeah,
And who gave you the book by John Sarno, you said?
it's a friend of mine. He'd read it.
Okay. He'd read it, and he's also worked with Connie then. Okay.
Yeah, amazingly.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Fine. And I think that's useful there, because that's the other thing is, if you have someone, I'd be curious to know what made your friend also take that step up there, because often when I find patients have responded to this treatment, it's because they've had either a family member or a friend or somebody close that they trust has done something different. That's what makes it worth for them to also consider it. So I'm glad that you said that part there. And would you know, or Connie, would you know what made that friend come to you? What was the turning or tipping point?
I think for him, yeah, I will speak to you more about him, but with him it was he also read all the books and he spoke to a few. He looked into Serpa and he did read all the books. But I think, and then he found me basically through the Serpa website. And because I'm an osteopath and he had a massive structural problem in his eyes, what he was being told. And I think the main thing for what made him change was not the fact that he needs to do expressive writing, we need to do this, but is the fact that his back was not a threat anymore. His back was the same as everybody else, and or not the same as everybody else, but there's no threat, and that he can do exercises, he can do things. And when he had that belief that that he can do it, and suddenly he started doing exercises because he felt safe, he's like, oh, but this is not causing more damage. This is actually making me stronger, and there's no pain. That that resonated with him, and yeah, this guy was one of the also nearly as big as Chris, but he he was 3 or 4 weeks where he was from can't walk basically to paragliding. So it was a massive transformation, and it went all just on belief that his body is strong, and it was all the psychological pressures from work and family and life. Yeah, so that made him change.
Oh, that's really helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tony, for sharing that. By the way, maybe this is so. It's been really helpful listening to Chris's story, and
Yeah.
you know, these are the stories, these are the narratives that need to really come out in the public domain now, because the more you see your own friends or family members or acquaintances become pain-free or getting back to their quality of life, that's going to be much more help than a doctor like me saying this is the evidence or this is something. So thank you, Chris, for sharing your story tonight.
Yes, no worries. Nice to meet you.
Good. Well done. So thank you for everybody for joining. Like I said, we sent the link, and if everybody want to have a chat or want to have a chat more with Chris, then I'm sure he'll be willing to talk to anyone
Yeah.
about that, about his stories and that, because it's sort of like Deepak said as well. I can come up with all these sciences and all why this should work, but we want the live stories. We want the stories of the Chris's and the Ruperts and the guys that actually lived it. And this is why we need to get it out. It is in a sense a miracle, because that's just the truth of this, and this is why this secret has been hidden for too long, and we need to get it out to the people out there. Good, but thanks everyone, and thanks for joining, and yeah, we'll see you soon.